Have you ever wondered how a cluster of grapes becomes the golden rain of bubbles that bursts forth when you uncork a bottle of champagne? That unmistakable pop, capable of sealing sporting victories, marriage proposals, and intellectual revolutions in Parisian cafes, is the result of a choreography so precise it has been perfected over more than 3 centuries. To uncover it, let us descend together into the chalky subsoil of Champagne and follow, without skipping a single detail, the journey from vineyard to your glass. In Champagne, the harvest is conducted like an opera. Each parcel follows its own score, and each grower listens with an exquisitely trained ear for the exact moment when the grape reaches its point of perfection. 3 varieties take the stage. Pinot Noir, with its dark skin and tight clusters, provides the tannic backbone, notes of raspberry and blackcurrant, and the strength that allows the blend to age without losing freshness. Pinot Meunier, called Miller's wife for the white fuzz on the underside of its leaves, contributes aromas of plum and apple blossom and offers flexibility when the year has been too cold. Chardonnay, golden like wheat under August sunlight, brings elegance, lively acidity, hints of citrus and white flowers, and a mineral vibration reminiscent of the ancient chalk upon which the vineyard stands. To preserve purity, the harvest is entirely by hand. Each pair of shears cuts only healthy clusters, while any damaged fruit is discarded on the spot. Vented crates are filled only halfway so that the weight of the grapes does not crush the berries, and before dawn, the harvest is already on its way to the press. Here begins the race against time. Although 2/3 of the cuvée is made from red grapes, the goal is a clear, luminous wine. Enter the pneumatic press, a horizontal cylinder with a rubber bladder that gently inflates and deflates. Rather than crushing indiscriminately, it applies gradual pressure, first releasing the most delicate must, known as the cuvée, the aromatic heart, and then, with increasing force, extracting the tile, a less refined fraction that some houses reserve for lower-tier brut. All of this happens in under 3 hours. If the skins remain soaked any longer, anthocyanins migrate and color the juice. The newborn must is cold, cloudy, and heavy with microscopic sediments. It is chilled to 12 degrees Celsius and rests in vats for a few hours so that the heavier particles sink, débourbage. Only then does it pass through a coarse plate filter and continue, clear, toward its first fermentation. The clear must is divided between temperature-controlled stainless steel tanks and old oak barrels that have lost much of their tannic hardness but retain the magic of microoxygenation. Each cellar follows its own philosophy. Those seeking varietal purity opt for steel. Those longing for early brioche whispers choose barrels. Selected yeasts are inoculated, or the indigenous flora is encouraged, and the temperature is maintained between 16 and 18 degrees Celsius to preserve floral esters. For 10 days, the yeasts consume glucose and fructose, releasing heat and CO2, and produce that first ethereal sip at around 11% ABV. Once complete, most base wines undergo malolactic fermentation. Bacteria convert the sharp green malic acid into silky, round lactic acid, moderating aggressiveness and imparting fresh buttery notes. A light racking removes coarse lees, though a fine fraction remains to nourish the wine with stable proteins and additional complexity. If everything else is science, this verges on poetry. The chef de cave sits before a row of numbered glasses, samples from the recent harvest, reserves aged 1, 2, or even 10 years, and vintages from every variety and village. With precise pipettes, he prepares small laboratory blends, notes acidity, pH, and expected pressure, sniffs, spits, and blends again. His mission? To reproduce the house accent, that signature profile a connoisseur could recognize blindfolded. A rainy year is corrected with reserve Chardonnay. An excess of sun is balanced with mature Pinot Meunier to restore vivacity. For a millésime, vintage, however, no adjustments are allowed. Everything must come from that extraordinary single harvest, and the wine is bottled with almost no reserve wines. It is here, too, that the decision is made whether the champagne will be Blanc de Blancs, Blanc de Noir, or Rosé, the latter made by brief maceration of red grapes, or, less commonly, by adding a dash of still red wine. The assembled wine is then fined, chilled to 4 degrees Celsius to precipitate bitartrates, and sterile filtered before tirage. Liqueur de tirage is added, 24 grams per liter of sucrose dissolved in mature wine plus a strain of Saccharomyces bayanus capable of working at low temperatures and high pressures. Each bottle is filled, leaving a 2-centimeter mirror of headspace, sealed with a plastic beadle stopper, wired down, and stored horizontally at 11 to 12 degrees Celsius. Thus begins the prise de mousse. Over 3 to 4 weeks, the yeasts transform the added sugar into an extra 1.3% alcohol and generate roughly 6 atmospheres of pressure, all held in solution by the glass. The CO2 gains complexity as it forms microaggregates around tartaric salts. This structure determines the fineness of the bubble. When the sugar is exhausted, the yeasts die and settle. What seems like an end is merely a fruitful rest. The cell membranes break down in a process called autolysis, releasing manoproteins and amino acids that lend a silky body and aromas of toasted bread, hazelnut, honey, and nougat. By law, non-vintage champagnes must rest for at least 15 months on the lees, vintages for 36. But cult houses let their bottles sleep for 60, 80, or even 120 months. The combination of darkness, 90% humidity, and a constant 11 degrees Celsius is the ideal spa for metamorphosis. Every few weeks, a cellar worker lights a lamp and gently turns the bottles, manual remuage, or programs an automated gyro pallet that handles thousands at once. The angle is increased gradually until the neck points nearly straight down and the lees collect beneath the cap. Now comes the moment to expel turbidity without wasting liquid gold. The neck is plunged into a brine at minus 20 degrees Celsius. The bidule stopper, the sediments, and a few milliliters of wine freeze solid. When the wire cage is removed, the internal pressure ejects the frozen plug, and with it the lees, in the blink of an eye, minimizing gas loss. Some maisons practice Disgorgement à la volée without freezing, trusting the operator's skill to expel just the right amount. Each bottle is inspected to the light. If a filament of lees remains, the operation is repeated. Any volume lost is topped up with liqueur d'expedition, as secret as a perfumer's notebook. It typically blends old reserve wine, for roundness, champagne brandy, for backbone, and sugar adjusted to style. Brut nature, 0 to 3 grams per liter, extra brut, 0 to 6, brut up to 12, extra sec, 12 to 20, sec, 17 to 35, demi-sec, 33 to 50, or doux, over 50. Some houses favor brut nature, letting purity speak. Others still produce doux to pair with oriental desserts. The dosage is added with watchmaker precision, stirred gently to disperse, and crowned with the final cork. This cork, made of natural cork discs bonded to an agglomerate core, is compressed to 16 millimeters before insertion. As it expands, it seals hermetically. The metal mucilate prevents premature ejection. Champagne still needs a final moment to harmonize. For several months or even a year, the bottle rests so the dosage integrates and the bubbles mellow. The disgorgement date is printed on the back label. Enthusiasts compare bottles disgorged in 2023 versus 2025 in search of differences in freshness or maturity. It is the liquid version of an hourglass moving very slowly. At last, it is time to dress for presentation. Regulations require listing the brand, the designation champagne, the dosage, the alcohol content rarely above 12.5%, the volume, the producer, and the city of production. If all the grapes come from Grand Cru vineyards, the label may boast of it. If it is a Blanc de Blancs, it will proclaim so in gilt letters. And if it is an assembled rosé, a discreet salmon hue will show through the glass. The bottles are rinsed, dried with filtered air, fitted with a tin or aluminum capsule, and packed into cases bound for Michelin-starred restaurants, wine shops in Tokyo, or cozy bistros in Rams. A 100 milliliter serving contains 70 to 90 kilocalories, a moderate indulgence compared to richer desserts. To maintain its vigor, champagne should lie horizontally at 10 to 12 degrees Celsius, protected from vibration and light. Before serving, chill the bottle in an ice and water bucket for 25 minutes. Dry chilling can damage the cork and alter internal pressure. Hold the base, twist the bottle, not the cork, and let the stopper ease out with a barely audible sigh. This preserves both bubbles and elegance. Serve in a tall flute for persistent mousse, in a tulip glass for balanced aromatics, or if you seek retro hedonism, in a wide coupe that quickly releases foam and evokes the roaring 20s. The tiny bubbles, born at invisible nucleation points, rise in a rosary and burst, releasing volatiles that travel straight to your olfactory cortex. Now imagine the next time you uncork a bottle. It may be to celebrate a feat you once thought impossible, or simply to make an ordinary Thursday memorable. With your first sip, try to discern the creamy texture left by the yeast's years-long slumber. Seek out the lively acidity that Chardonnay sown in chalky soils has bestowed.